Have you ever noticed your crystals to be less vibrant, less exuberant than they used to be? So it's like they lost their sparkle. They might even feel a bit dirty or grubby to the touch. Or maybe they're not working as effectively as they used to. You don't feel like you're connecting to them. Or even worse, you might pick up energy from them, negative energy, or your life suddenly becomes dramatic or kind of negative, lots of negative things coming in all of a sudden, even though you have the crystals on you. These are 3 signs that your crystals need cleansing. In this video, which is part 1 of my crystal cleansing series, I'm looking at the elemental methods using water, light and smoke. Bear in mind, not all crystals can be cleansed with all methods. Some crystals will dissolve in water or get damaged. So in order to avoid that, I created a list of 99 crystals and how to cleanse them, how to look after them. Now let's get started with the 5 methods. One of the beautiful things to do is using running water. And the best thing to use with running water is to, if you have a stream nearby, or can go where there's a natural stream, and you can put the crystals into the stream and let the water flow through the crystal and really cleanse it. But if you don't have access to a stream, you can use a bowl of water, like say this little bowl I have here. I like to have a lid on it just to avoid natural pollutants fall in, or dirt to go into the water, so keep the water clean. I also love to use well water. I have a holy well nearby, so I love to use the energy from that water. If you want to make sure that your water is pure, you can use a shungite. So we put in the shungite and we leave it in there for a while, for maybe a couple of hours, to let it do its thing, to absorb the toxins within the water. Once the shungite has done its job, we can get ready to cleanse our crystals. To cleanse your crystal, like this clear quartz here, we just put it in the water and put the lid on, and we leave it sitting for a while, for a good few hours, or maybe overnight even, so that the water can really do its job. One really important thing about this approach with water is that sometimes you hear people telling you putting crystals into salt water, and that's actually not a good idea, because salt can destroy the internal structure of the crystal, so it's quite harsh on the crystal itself. It's okay to wash your hands in salt water and cleanse off detrimental energy after healing work. But for working with crystals, I would definitely advise not to use salt water. This is the water approach. It can actually be nicely combined with one of the approaches I'm going to tell you about next. So the first one we're looking at is sunlight. And it's quite simple. You take your crystal and you put it out and you place it out in sunlight, and let the sunlight charge and cleanse the crystal. But one of the things you have to be mindful of is not to leave it out too long or into too strong sunlight. So maybe in the mornings or in the evenings is better rather than in midday, particularly if you're living in a climate with a lot of sunlight and very strong sunlight, because it can often fade the color of the crystals. So some crystals fade in direct sunlight. So sunlight is really good for crystals that have an energizing quality, like carnelian. The sunlight really helps bring out that quality and give it more energy and charge it with this uplifting sun energy. Other crystals, like this labradorite, are better cleansed in moonlight, because it's more an intuitive stone, similar to, say, moonstone. But also the moonlight is less harsh, so I prefer putting stones out during the full moon, because it's a different energy. You can combine the water approach with either the sun or the moonlight. So the same thing as you do with the water, you put it in, close it off, and then you put it outside during the full moon or in the morning for the sun to energize the crystals. So this way you get a double whammy of light and water, and that's a really powerful combination. Probably the most well-known type of cleansing is smudging. You're probably all familiar with smudging, but I'll tell you about it anyway. For smudging, you can use Palo Santo or white sage, or in Ireland and some European countries, mugwort is used as well. It's the equivalent of white sage, and to me it feels more appropriate in the European context because it kind of connects with the spirit of the land, whereas white sage connects with the spirit of the lands in North America, with Native Americans. So it's kind of nice to have something more local in a way, in the local tradition. But whichever you choose, Palo Santo, white sage, mugwort, they all work and they're all really good at cleansing crystals. Okay, so the way I use white sage is by lighting it, and I like to use the single leaves rather than the big bunches because I'm always afraid to set off the fire alarm, and it does give you enough smoke with just the one. You don't need to burn whole loads. It's all a bit more efficient, and you just let the smoke flow through the crystal and cleanse it, transform and transmute all negative energies, all energies that shouldn't be in the stone. Transmute it into smoke, send it up to the heavens, to the gods, the spirits, to be reused and recycled. And then when you feel it's smudged enough, you can put the crystal down and start with your work. And what I also like to do is, while I'm smudging the crystal, I kind of like to smudge myself as well, just to cleanse myself a bit. Waste not, want not, as they say. One of the important aspects in whatever approach you choose, whatever technique for cleansing crystal you choose, is that you have your intention set to that the crystal be cleansed of all negative energies, all energies that shouldn't be there, and they be transmuted. So that intention is very important. And trust your intuition, adjust the techniques, adapt, change them, expand them, combine them, whichever way feels right to you, because your intuition is your guide. I hope you liked this video and you got inspired to try out those methods yourself and restore your crystals to their beautiful radiant self. Like and subscribe so you get notified when my next video is coming out, which is going to be all about the energetic methods of cleansing crystals. So I'm going to be looking at breath, visualization, essential oils and other things in that video, so the more vibrational and maybe a bit more advanced techniques. So until then, have a nice day and I'll see you soon.